These people sign up knowing the risks. If they can't handle it, that's on them, not on me. The words hang in the air like poison. Providence Municipal Court goes completely silent. Every person in the room stares at the man who just said those words. His name is Brigadier General Trevor Hastings. Retired. Age 52. He stands tall in the courtroom. His posture is military perfect. He wears a custom-tailored suit. Tom Ford. Dark navy. It probably costs $7,000. His shoes shine like mirrors. Italian leather. His watch is a Patek Philippe, the kind that costs more than a house. On his lapel sits a small American flag pin. It gleams under the lights. Judge Frank Caprio sits behind the bench. His face shows no emotion yet, but his eyes tell a different story. They've gone dark, cold. He's seen a lot in this courtroom. Entitled kids, rich bullies, arrogant criminals. But this might be the worst. If you believe that those who serve our country deserve respect and care, you'll want to see what happens next. Because what Judge Caprio is about to do will restore your faith in justice. The bailiff called this case 10 minutes ago. Case number 2026, CV 82634. The charge seems simple at first. Harassment, intimidation, false statements. But there's more to this story. So much more. Sitting in the front row is the victim. His name is Marcus Webb. Age 29. He looks older though. War does that. Marcus served 8 years in the Army. 2 tours in Afghanistan. 1 in Iraq. He came home 3 years ago. He brought invisible wounds with him. PTSD. That means post-traumatic stress disorder. It's when your brain can't forget the terrible things you saw. The explosions. The friends who didn't come home. The sounds that wake you up at night. Marcus wears simple clothes today. Jeans from Walmart. A button-up shirt that's been washed so many times the collar is faded. Work boots with scuffed toes. He sits with his hands clasped together. They shake slightly. His eyes keep darting to the doors. That's a symptom. Always checking exits. Always ready to run. His jaw is tight. There's a scar on his left cheek. Shrapnel. He got it saving 3 men from a burning Humvee. He got a Purple Heart for that. He keeps it in a drawer at home. He can't look at it. Marcus works as a security guard now. Overnight shift at a warehouse. $9 an hour. It's all he could find. He applied to 47 jobs in 6 months. Most never called back. Some said they wanted someone more stable. That's code. It means they don't want to deal with PTSD. He works 60 hours a week. He has a daughter, Emma. She's 5 years old. Brown curly hair. Gap in her front teeth. She draws pictures of her daddy in his uniform. She doesn't understand why he flinches when she drops her toys. Why loud noises make him freeze. Why some days he can't get out of bed. Marcus is in court today because he filed a complaint. 6 months ago, he applied for benefits. VA benefits. That means money from the Veterans Administration. Money he earned by serving his country. Money that could help him pay for therapy. For medication. For the treatments that might help him sleep through the night. His claim was denied. Rejected. Thrown out. The reason given made no sense. Medical records were called incomplete. His service record was questioned. Someone wrote that his injuries weren't service-related. That someone was General Trevor Hastings. Hastings worked as a consultant for the VA Benefits Review Board. It's a side job. He gets paid $200 an hour to review cases, to decide who gets help and who doesn't. He reviewed Marcus's file. He wrote one sentence. Just one. Quote, claimant shows insufficient evidence of combat-related psychological trauma. Claim denied. End quote. He wrote that sentence in 45 seconds. Marcus's entire file. 8 years of service. 3 deployments. 16 witness statements. Medical records from 4 different doctors. All of it dismissed in 45 seconds. But Marcus didn't give up. He couldn't. Emma needed new shoes. The electricity bill was overdue. He filed an appeal. He included more documents. Letters from his commanding officers. Photos from his deployments. A detailed statement from a VA psychiatrist who diagnosed him with severe PTSD, anxiety disorder, depression. The psychiatrist wrote 14 pages explaining Marcus's condition, explaining how his symptoms matched perfectly with combat trauma. Hastings reviewed the appeal. He wrote another sentence. Quote, previous decision stands. No new relevant information provided. End quote. 30 seconds this time. Marcus tried one more time. He called the office. He asked to speak with whoever reviewed his case. He was transferred 6 times. Finally, someone gave him a name. Trevor Hastings. Marcus looked him up. Found out Hastings had served 30 years. Retired as a general. Now worked as a consultant. Marcus sent him an email. A personal one. He explained his situation. He talked about Emma. About the nightmares. About how he just wanted help. Please. Just help. Hastings responded. The email was short. Quote, I review hundreds of cases monthly. Your situation is not unique. Military service does not entitle you to benefits without proper documentation. Perhaps you should have been more prepared. End quote. That email went viral. Marcus's sister posted it on social media. She was angry. Heartbroken. She wanted people to know how veterans were being treated. The post got shared 11,000 times. News outlets picked it up. Local reporter interviewed Marcus. The interview showed him breaking down, crying, talking about how he felt abandoned by the very system he fought to protect. The story reached Hastings. He didn't apologize. He didn't back down. Instead, he went on a podcast, a military news podcast. He said Marcus was playing the victim. Said too many young soldiers today claim PTSD to get free money. Said that in his day men were tougher. They didn't cry about nightmares. He said Marcus probably never even saw real combat. Probably sat in an air-conditioned office somewhere. He said this even though Marcus's file clearly showed 3 combat deployments. Even though Marcus had a Purple Heart, a Bronze Star, commendation medals. Hastings said none of that mattered. Said the claims were probably exaggerated. That podcast clip got shared everywhere. People were furious. Veterans groups called for investigations. Lawyers got involved. Someone found 8 other cases. 8 other veterans whose claims Hastings had denied. All with similar patterns. All dismissed quickly. All with barely any review. 3 of those veterans had taken their own lives. Unable to get help. Unable to cope. Gone. The harassment charge came from what happened next. Hastings started getting messages. Angry messages. Threats even. He blamed Marcus. He posted Marcus's full name online. Posted his work address. Said Marcus had ruined his reputation. Said Marcus owed him an apology. Said if Marcus had any honor, he'd withdraw his complaint and admit he was lying. When Marcus refused, Hastings called Marcus's employer. Told them Marcus was unstable. Dangerous. Said the company should fire him before he hurt someone. The company didn't fire Marcus, but they moved him to a different location, farther from his home. Added an hour to his commute each way. That's when Marcus filed this case. Harassment, defamation, interference with employment, intimidation of a witness. Because by then there was an official investigation. The VA Inspector General was looking into Hastings. Looking at all those denied claims. Marcus was a key witness. And Hastings was trying to silence him. Now they're both here. In Judge Caprio's courtroom. About to face each other. Judge Caprio clears his throat. He looks at the papers in front of him. He's read everything. Every document. Every email. Every transcript. He spent 3 hours last night reading it all. He couldn't sleep after. General Hastings, Judge Caprio says. His voice is calm. Professional. You stand accused of multiple counts of harassment and intimidation. How do you plead? Hastings doesn't hesitate. Not guilty, Your Honor. This entire proceeding is a waste of a court's time. People in the gallery shift in their seats. Did he just call this a waste of time? Judge Caprio's eyebrow raises slightly. I see. And you're representing yourself today. I am. Hastings stands straighter somehow. I don't need a lawyer to defend myself against baseless accusations from someone looking for a handout. Marcus flinches in his seat, like he's been slapped. His hands grip his knees. His breathing gets faster. Judge Caprio notices. He always notices. Mr. Webb, are you all right? Marcus nods. He doesn't trust his voice right now. Mr. Hastings, Judge Caprio continues. Let's begin with the facts. You reviewed Mr. Webb's benefits claim. Correct. I reviewed many claims. His was one of dozens. You denied his claim twice. I followed the guidelines. If the documentation is insufficient, I deny the claim. That's my job. And you didn't think 8 years of service, 3 combat deployments, multiple commendations, and detailed medical records from a VA psychiatrist were sufficient documentation. Hastings waves his hand dismissively. Your Honor, with respect, you don't understand how many fraudulent claims we see. Everyone wants to claim PTSD these days. It's become an excuse, a way to game the system. The courtroom erupts in whispers. A woman in the back row shakes her head. A man in a veteran's cap stands halfway up, then sits back down. The bailiff takes a small step forward. Judge Caprio holds up his hand. The room quiets. Mr. Hastings, I want to make sure I understand your position. You're saying Mr. Webb's claim was fraudulent. I'm saying it was unproven. There's a difference. Is there? Because in your podcast interview, you specifically said he probably never saw real combat. You said he was lying. I said his claims seemed exaggerated. You said, and I quote, he's playing the sympathy card to steal taxpayer money. End quote. Hastings's jaw tightens. I stand by that assessment. Judge Caprio leans forward. Even though his military records show he was in direct combat 47 times, even though he carried a wounded soldier half a mile under enemy fire, even though he has documented injuries from an IED explosion. Records can be doctored. Injuries can be exaggerated. Someone in the gallery gasps. A veteran in the third row stands up. That's garbage, he shouts. The bailiff moves toward him. The man sits down, but his face is red. His fists are clenched. This is just the beginning, and it's about to get much worse. Judge Caprio maintains his composure. Mr. Hastings, let's move forward. Why did you contact Mr. Webb's employer? I was providing them with relevant information about an employee. You told them he was dangerous, unstable, that he might hurt someone. Do you have any evidence to support those claims? He has PTSD. By definition, that makes him unstable. Marcus makes a sound in his throat. It's half sob, half gasp. His hands are shaking harder now. A woman sitting next to him. She must be his sister. She puts her arm around his shoulders. General Hastings, Judge Caprio's voice has changed. It's colder now. Sharper. Do you understand what PTSD is? Of course. I'm very familiar with military psychology. Then you know it's a medical condition. A response to trauma. Not a character flaw. I know many people claim to have it who don't. And you decided Mr. Webb was one of those people. Based on what credentials? Are you a psychiatrist? I have 30 years of military experience. I've commanded thousands of troops. I know when someone is being truthful and when they're not. So you're saying the VA psychiatrist who evaluated Mr. Webb was wrong? The doctor with a medical degree and specialty in trauma? That doctor was fooled, but you saw through it. Hastings shifts his weight. It's the first sign he might be uncomfortable. Doctors can be fooled too. Or maybe, Judge Caprio says slowly, maybe you just didn't want to do your job. Maybe reviewing cases thoroughly takes time. Time you didn't want to spend. That's absurd. Is it? The evidence shows you spent an average of 90 seconds reviewing each case. 90 seconds to decide whether a veteran gets help or not. Does that seem thorough to you? I'm efficient. I see the key issues quickly. Or you don't care. The words land like a bomb. The courtroom goes silent. Hastings's face turns red. Your Honor, I object to that characterization. This isn't a trial where you can object, Mr. Hastings. This is a hearing. And I'm trying to understand how a man who spent 30 years in the military can show so little compassion for those who served under people like him. I have tremendous respect for real soldiers, for those who actually suffered. But I also have a responsibility to protect taxpayer money from fraud. And you decided Mr. Webb was a fraud. In 45 seconds. I made a professional judgment. Judge Caprio picks up a piece of paper. Let me read something to you. This is from Mr. Webb's commanding officer in Afghanistan, Lieutenant Colonel James Patterson. He writes, Sergeant Webb showed exceptional courage under fire. On March 15, 2021, during an ambush outside Kandahar, Sergeant Webb single-handedly held a defensive position for 23 minutes while his unit evacuated wounded. He sustained injuries but refused medical evacuation until all his men were safe. He is one of the finest soldiers I have ever had the honor to command. End quote. Hastings says nothing. Here's another one. From Staff Sergeant Nicole Chun. She writes, Marcus Webb saved my life. When our convoy was hit by an IED, I was trapped in a burning vehicle. Marcus ran back into the flames. He pulled me out. His hands were burned. His face was cut by shrapnel. But he didn't stop until I was safe. I owe him everything. End quote. Still nothing from Hastings. One more. This one from a military psychiatrist, Dr. Elizabeth Moreno. She writes, in 20 years of treating combat veterans, I have rarely seen PTSD as severe as Mr. Webb's. His symptoms are consistent with prolonged combat exposure and multiple traumatic events. He experiences nightmares nightly, panic attacks weekly, hypervigilance constantly. He is unable to maintain normal relationships or employment without treatment. His condition is 100% service-connected. To deny his claim would be a miscarriage of justice. End quote. Judge Caprio sets the paper down. He looks directly at Hastings. You read all of that, and you still denied his claim. Why? Hastings's face is hard, closed off. Because I don't believe everyone who cries about nightmares deserves a paycheck. The gallery erupts. People are shouting. The bailiff raises his voice. Order! Order in the court. Judge Caprio bangs his gavel once. Hard. The sound cracks through the noise. People quiet down. Let me ask you something else, Judge Caprio says. Why did you post Mr. Webb's personal information online? I didn't post his personal information. I posted his name, which was already public. You posted his workplace address. You encouraged people to contact him. Your exact words were, maybe he needs to hear from real patriots who are tired of frauds disrespecting our military. What did you think would happen? I thought people had a right to know who was attacking a decorated general. You're the decorated general. Mr. Webb is the one with a Purple Heart and Bronze Star. Awards don't make someone honest. And 30 years of service don't make you wise. Hastings's eyes flash with anger. Your Honor, I find your comments inappropriate. And I find your behavior reprehensible. But we're just getting started. Judge Caprio picks up another document. Let's talk about the other veterans. The 8 other cases you denied. The 3 who are now dead. I had nothing to do with those deaths. Didn't you? Here's Miguel Santos. Age 26. Marine Corps. 2 tours. Lost both legs in an explosion. Applied for benefits. You denied him. Reason given. Insufficient proof of disability. Mr. Hastings, he had no legs. The disability wasn't related to his PTSD claim. He wasn't applying for disability compensation. He was applying for mental health benefits. Because after losing his legs, he wanted to kill himself. He needed therapy. Medication. You denied him. He shot himself 6 weeks later. The courtroom is dead silent now. You could hear a pin drop. Hastings's face is pale, but his voice is steady. That's tragic. But I can't be held responsible for every veteran who makes a bad choice. A bad choice. He needed help. You were in a position to provide it. You chose not to. I followed the rules. You followed your prejudices. Here's another one. Sarah Kim. Army specialist. Sexual assault survivor. Developed PTSD from the assault and the military's failure to protect her. Applied for benefits. You denied her. You wrote that her trauma was personal, not service-related. She hanged herself in her barracks. I didn't know that would happen. Maybe if you'd spent more than 90 seconds reading her case, you would have seen the warning signs. I'm not a mind reader. You don't need to be. You just need to care. But you don't, do you? Hastings straightens his shoulders. Your Honor, I care deeply about our military. I gave 30 years of my life. And now you're taking from those who gave just as much, maybe more. That's unfair. Is it? Let me tell you what's unfair. What's unfair is a 29-year-old man who can't sleep through the night because he's haunted by the faces of friends who died in his arms. What's unfair is a little girl who doesn't understand why her daddy flinches when she hugs him. What's unfair is denying help to someone who earned it with blood and sacrifice while you sit in your comfortable consulting office making $200 an hour. That's what's unfair. Hastings's mouth opens, closes, opens again. I'm doing my job. No, you're cashing checks. There's a difference. People in the gallery start clapping. The bailiff doesn't stop them this time. Even he looks like he wants to applaud. Hastings's face goes from pale to red. This is ridiculous. I came here today expecting a fair hearing. Instead, I'm being lectured by someone who's never served a day in uniform. And there it is. The line he shouldn't have crossed. Judge Caprio goes very still. His voice drops. It's quiet. Dangerous. You're right. I never served in the military. I served in a different way. As a public servant. As a judge who believes everyone deserves dignity and respect. Something you seem to have forgotten. I don't need lectures from civilians about military matters. This isn't about military matters. This is about basic human decency. Something your rank doesn't exempt you from. You don't understand the pressure. The number of false claims. The people trying to cheat the system. So you decided to treat everyone like they're cheating, including legitimately wounded veterans. I have to protect the integrity of the system. The system is supposed to protect them. They already gave everything. Now they're asking for help. And you're slamming the door in their faces. Hastings's hands clench into fists. They signed up knowing the risks. Yes, they did. They knew they might die. They knew they might be injured. What they didn't know is that people like you would betray them after. I haven't betrayed anyone. You betrayed every veteran whose claim you dismissed without truly reading. Every family you hurt by denying legitimate benefits. Every soldier who trusted that if they served honorably, their country would take care of them. You betrayed that trust. This is outrageous. I refuse to stand here and be insulted. Then sit down, because we're not nearly done. Hastings remains standing. His face is twisted with anger. You want to know what I really think? Fine. I'll tell you. These people, these young soldiers today, they're soft. In my day, we didn't have PTSD. We didn't whine about nightmares. We sucked it up. We moved on. We didn't expect the government to hold our hands and pay us for being sad. The words explode through the courtroom like grenades. Multiple people stand up. Voices rise in anger. The bailiff moves to the center. Everyone sit down. Now, Judge Caprio doesn't move. Doesn't blink. He just stares at Hastings. When he speaks, his voice could freeze water. Did you just say that PTSD is whining about nightmares? Hastings realizes his mistake. But it's too late to take it back. I'm saying it's overdiagnosed. People use it as an excuse. Mr. Webb, would you like to respond to that? Marcus looks up. His eyes are wet. But there's something else there now. Anger. He stands slowly. His voice shakes when he speaks. I wake up every single night at 3 a.m. Every night. I'm back in Kandahar. My friend Jackson is bleeding out in my arms. He's 22 years old. He's crying for his mother. I'm trying to stop the bleeding, but there's too much. It's everywhere. On my hands. On my uniform. On his face. He dies looking at me. Asking me why I can't save him. I close my eyes and I'm there. I smell the blood. I hear the explosion. I see his face. Marcus's voice breaks. He pauses. Breathes. Continues. I can't take my daughter to fireworks shows because the sounds make me hit the ground. I can't go to crowded places because I think everyone's a threat. I lost my marriage because I pushed my wife away. I couldn't let her close. Couldn't let anyone close. Because everyone I got close to in the war died. And my brain learned that love means loss. Connection means death. Tears stream down Marcus's face now. He doesn't wipe them away. I don't want money because I'm sad. I want help because I'm broken. Because I gave everything I had over there, and I came back in pieces. And all I'm asking is for help putting those pieces back together. So I can be the father my daughter deserves. So I can sleep one night without seeing Jackson's face. Just one night. The courtroom is crying now. The woman in the third row has her hand over her mouth. The man in the veteran's cap has tears running into his beard. Even the court reporter has to wipe her eyes. Hastings stands frozen. For the first time, he looks uncertain. Judge Caprio lets the silence sit. Let it sink in. Then he speaks. General Hastings, you asked if I understand the pressure you face. Let me ask you something. Do you understand the pressure Mr. Webb faces? Every single day. Do you understand what it takes for him to get out of bed? To go to work? To keep trying when people like you keep telling him he's lying? Hastings says nothing. You stood there and said soldiers in your day didn't have PTSD. That's not true. They had it. They just called it shell shock. Or combat fatigue. Or they didn't call it anything. They just suffered in silence. They drank themselves to death. They shot themselves in garages. They became homeless. They disappeared. Not because they were weak, but because people like you told them they were. Judge Caprio's voice rises. You said Mr. Webb is soft. Let me tell you what soft is. Soft is sitting in an air-conditioned office judging men who ran toward gunfire. Soft is denying help to people who sacrificed everything while you collect a paycheck. Soft is hiding behind regulations instead of looking at the human being in front of you. Your honor. I'm not finished. You want to talk about honor? About military values? Let me remind you of one. It's called leave no man behind. You remember that one? It means you take care of your own. You don't abandon them. You don't turn your back when they need help. But that's exactly what you did. You left Marcus Webb behind. You left Miguel Santos behind. You left Sarah Kim behind. You left 8 veterans behind. And 3 of them are dead. Hastings tries to speak. I didn't kill them. You might as well have. You had the power to help. You chose not to. What do you call that? I call it doing my job within the constraints of the system. I call it cowardice. The word hangs in the air. Heavy. Final. Devastating. Hastings's face goes white. You can't call me a coward. I served 30 years. And yet here you stand, afraid to admit you were wrong, afraid to show compassion, afraid to do the right thing because it might take more effort. If that's not cowardice, what is? This is unacceptable. I demand an apology. Judge Caprio laughs. It's a bitter sound. You demand an apology? You, the man who destroyed lives with your negligence? The man who called a wounded veteran a fraud? You want an apology. I have rights. So does Mr. Webb. He has the right to the benefits he earned, the right to respect, the right to not be harassed and defamed by someone who should know better. But you took those rights away. You trampled them. And now you want to talk about your rights. Hastings is breathing hard now. His face is red again. His hands shake. You're twisting everything. You don't understand. Then help me understand. Explain to me why you denied legitimate claims. Why you called veterans liars. Why you posted Mr. Webb's information online. Help me understand that. Because I'm tired. Hastings shouts. The words burst out. I'm tired of everyone thinking they deserve something. I'm tired of the endless complaining. I'm tired of people who serve 3 years and want to be taken care of for the rest of their lives. I gave 30 years. 30 years. And nobody gives me special treatment. There it is. The truth. Buried under all the justifications and regulations. He's jealous, resentful, bitter. Judge Caprio nods slowly. There it is. The real reason. You're angry that other people get help, even though you don't need it, even though you have a pension and consulting income and all the benefits that come with being a general. You're angry that the people who served under you might get something too. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. You said it yourself. Nobody gives you special treatment. But General Hastings, you've had special treatment your entire career. You had rank, authority, respect, a comfortable office, a pension that pays you more in a month than Mr. Webb makes in a year. And you're angry that a wounded soldier might get a few $100s a month for therapy. Hastings has no response. Let me tell you what I see. Judge Caprio continues. I see a man who's forgotten what service means. Service isn't about what you get. It's about what you give. And right now, you're taking. You're taking dignity from veterans who earned respect. You're taking hope from people who desperately need it. You're taking and taking and taking. And then you have the audacity to call yourself a patriot. I am a patriot. Patriots take care of their own. You abandoned yours. Judge Caprio reaches for a folder. Now, let's talk about the evidence. Because there's more. So much more. He opens the folder. Pulls out papers. These are the emails you sent to Mr. Webb. Let me read one. Quote, you are a disgrace to the uniform. Real soldiers don't cry for help. Real soldiers stand on their own. You're weak. Pathetic. You should be ashamed. End quote. You sent this to a combat veteran with diagnosed PTSD. Hastings looks away. Here's another. Quote, keep running to the media. Keep crying. See where it gets you. I have friends in every VA office in the country. Your claim will never be approved. Never. I'll make sure of it. End quote. That's a threat. Clear intimidation. I was angry. He was damaging my reputation. Your reputation. You damaged it yourself. By being cruel. By being petty. By being everything a leader should never be. Judge Caprio pulls out more papers. These are testimony statements. From other veterans. Veterans whose claims you denied. I'll read excerpts. This one from James Turner. Quote, after General Hastings denied my claim, I tried to appeal. He called my new therapist directly. Told her I was probably lying. Told her to reconsider her diagnosis. She was so intimidated she withdrew her support for my appeal. End quote. I was trying to verify information. You were trying to manipulate the process. Here's another. From Linda Vasquez. Quote, General Hastings posted about my case on social media. He didn't use my name, but he shared enough details that people figure out it was me. I started getting hate messages, death threats, I had to delete all my accounts. I lost my job because the harassment was affecting my work. End quote. I didn't tell people to harass her. You created the environment. You pointed the mob at vulnerable people. What did you think would happen? Hastings has no answer. And here's the worst one. Judge Caprio's voice goes very quiet. This is from Maria Santos, Miguel Santos's mother. You remember Miguel? The Marine who lost both legs and then his life? His mother wrote this letter. Quote, "After my son died, General Hastings gave an interview. He said Miguel's suicide proved he was mentally unstable before his service. He said the Marine Corps shouldn't have accepted him. He said this about my son. My beautiful son who survived 2 tours and an explosion. My son who fought every day to live with his injuries. General Hastings took my son's memory and dragged it through the mud. All to protect his reputation. All to justify his decision. My son is gone, and this man sleeps peacefully at night." End quote. The courtroom is silent except for the sound of people crying. Even the bailiff has to turn away. Judge Caprio closes the folder. Do you have anything to say to that? Hastings's voice is barely a whisper. I didn't know he would kill himself. You didn't care. That's the problem. You didn't care enough to look. To really look. To see the human beings behind the paperwork. I was following the rules. No, you were hiding behind them. There's a difference. Judge Caprio takes a deep breath. He's about to pass judgment. Everyone in the room can feel it. General Trevor Hastings, you have been found to have engaged in harassment, intimidation, defamation, and interference with legal proceedings. These are serious charges, made even more serious by who you are and what you represent. You wore the uniform. You commanded troops. You were supposed to embody the values of the military. Honor, duty, respect, service. But you forgot those values. Or maybe you never really understood them. Hastings opens his mouth. Judge Caprio holds up his hand. I'm not done. You asked earlier why this matters. Why a few denied claims should result in a court case. Let me tell you why. Because you had power. Real power. Power over vulnerable people who trusted the system. And you abused that power. You wielded it carelessly, cruelly, without compassion or thought for the consequences. And people died. Maybe you didn't pull the trigger. Maybe you didn't tie the noose. But your actions contributed to their deaths. Your negligence, your cruelty, your absolute refusal to see them as human beings deserving of help. Judge Caprio leans forward. And then, after all of that, after the deaths and the pain and the suffering, after Mr. Webb dared to speak up, after he had the courage to challenge your decision, you tried to destroy him. You posted his information online. You called his employer. You sent him threatening messages. You tried to intimidate him into silence. Because that's what bullies do. They attack anyone who threatens their power. I'm not a bully. Yes, you are. And now you're going to learn that actions have consequences. Even for generals. Judge Caprio picks up his gavel. First, you will pay a fine of $25,000. This money will be divided between Mr. Webb and the families of the 3 veterans who died after you denied their claims. It won't bring them back, but it acknowledges the harm you caused. Hastings barely reacts. $25,000 is nothing to him. He probably spends that much on vacation. Second, your consulting contract with the VA is terminated. Effective immediately. You will never review another veteran's benefits claim. Ever. Now Hastings looks worried. That's his income. His status. His connection to the military world he claims to love. Third, you will perform 300 hours of community service. But not just any service. You will work at the VA hospital. In the PTSD treatment ward. You will help clean rooms. Deliver meals. Transport patients. You will do whatever the staff needs. And you will do it under the direct supervision of Dr. Elizabeth Moreno. The same psychiatrist whose diagnosis you dismissed. The same doctor you called incompetent. She will be your supervisor. You will report to her every Saturday and Sunday for the next 8 months. 6 hours per day. No exceptions. No substitutions. If you miss one shift, you'll face contempt charges and jail time. The gallery murmurs. This is perfect. Poetic. He'll have to face the very people he harmed. Fourth, you will write a formal apology. By hand. Not typed. Not written by a lawyer. In your own words. You will apologize to Mr. Webb. To the families of Miguel Santos, Sarah Kim, and David Chun. To every veteran whose claim you denied. This apology will be at least 5 pages long. It will be specific. It will acknowledge exactly what you did wrong. And it will be published on the VA website, in military publications, everywhere. Your apology will be as public as your cruelty was. Hastings's hands are shaking now. His face is pale. This is humiliation. Public humiliation. 5th, you will attend weekly therapy sessions for 1 year with a trauma specialist, because I think you have your own demons, your own issues with power and control, and until you deal with those, you're a danger to others. Your therapist will submit monthly reports to this court. If you stop attending, you violate your sentence. 6th, you are prohibited from making any public statements about Mr. Webb, about this case, or about veterans' benefits for 5 years. No podcasts, no interviews, no social media posts, nothing. If you violate this order, you will be charged with contempt and face immediate jail time. Judge Caprio pauses, lets it sink in, then continues. 7th, and this is the one you'll hate the most. You will attend 8 speaking engagements at military bases, at veteran centers, at high schools with JROTC programs. You will speak to active duty soldiers and young people considering service, and you will tell them your story, the whole story, how you forgot what service meant, how you let power corrupt you, how you hurt the very people you should have protected. You will be honest, vulnerable, humble, things I suspect you haven't been in years. Each speech will be recorded. Copies will be sent to this court. If I detect any dishonesty, any attempt to spin this in your favor, you'll face additional penalties. The courtroom is buzzing now. This is unprecedented, harsh, but somehow fitting. And finally, you will sit here, right now, and apologize to Mr. Webb, face to face. No lawyer to filter your words. No prepared statement. Just you and the man you tried to destroy. You will look him in the eye and apologize. And it better be sincere, because I'll know if it's not. Hastings stands frozen. His world is crashing down around him. The career he built, the reputation he protected, all of it gone. He looks at his watch, that expensive Patek Philippe. It suddenly feels heavy on his wrist. He looks at his suit, his shoes, all the markers of success. They mean nothing now. Mr. Hastings, I'm waiting. Hastings turns slowly toward Marcus. Marcus is still sitting in the front row. His face is wet with tears. But he looks up, meets Hastings' eyes. Hastings opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. He tries again. I don't know what to say. Start with I'm sorry, Judge Caprio suggests. His voice is cold. I'm sorry. For what? For everything. Be specific. Hastings takes a shaky breath. I'm sorry for denying your claim, for not reading your file carefully, for calling you a fraud, for posting about you online, for trying to get you fired. For all of it. Why did you do it? Hastings is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice cracks. Because I stopped seeing people. I saw numbers, cases, problems. I forgot that every file was a person, a life. And I convinced myself that protecting the system was more important than protecting people. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Marcus doesn't respond right away. He just looks at Hastings, studies his face, tries to decide if this is real. Finally, Marcus speaks. Do you know what you took from me? Hastings shakes his head. Hope. That's what you took. I came home broken, but I had hope. Hope that my country would help me, that the sacrifice mattered, that I wouldn't be forgotten. And you took that hope away. You told me I was lying, that my suffering didn't matter, that I was trying to cheat the system. Do you know what that does to someone? To be called a liar about the worst thing that ever happened to you. Hastings' eyes are wet now. No, I don't. It almost killed me. After you denied my appeal the second time, I sat in my car with a gun. I wrote a letter to my daughter. I was ready. The only reason I didn't do it is because Emma called me. She wanted to show me a picture she drew. Of me. Her hero. How could I be her hero if I gave up? So I put the gun away. I tore up the letter. And I decided to fight. Not just for me. For everyone you hurt. A tear runs down Hastings' cheek. He doesn't wipe it away. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know if I can forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I hope you learn something from this. I hope you remember that every decision you make affects real people. Real lives. Hastings nods. He can't speak anymore. Judge Caprio watches this exchange. His face is stern, but there's something else there too. Sadness maybe. Or disappointment. He's seen the worst of humanity in this courtroom, but he never gets used to it. Mr. Hastings, you have 30 days to begin your community service. You have 60 days to submit your written apologies. Your first speaking engagement must occur within 90 days. Failure to comply with any part of the sentence will result in immediate contempt charges and incarceration. Do you understand? Hastings nods. I need you to say it. I understand, Your Honor. Good, because I meant every word. You had power. You abused it. Now you're going to spend the next year making amends. And maybe by the end of it, you'll remember what it means to serve. Not to be served, but to serve others. Judge Caprio looks at Marcus. Mr. Webb, I want you to know something. You were right to fight, right to speak up, right to demand justice. You are not a fraud. You are not a liar. You are a hero. And I'm sorry it took this long for someone in authority to tell you that. Your benefits claim will be approved. I don't have direct power over the VA, but I'm personally calling the director today. And I'm CCGNG, the senator. And the media. Your claim will be approved. Marcus starts crying. Really crying. Relief. Vindication. Joy. All of it floods out. His sister hugs him. People in the gallery are clapping. Cheering. The bailiff is smiling. Judge Caprio bangs his gavel. This hearing is concluded. Mr. Hastings, I'll see you in 30 days with proof you've started your service. Dismissed. Hastings stands there for a moment. Lost. Broken. Then he turns and walks toward the doors. His steps are slow. Heavy. He's aged 10 years in the last hour. His shoulders slump. That military posture is gone. He looks like what he is. A disgraced man facing the consequences of his actions. The courtroom empties slowly. People stop to shake Marcus's hand. To thank him. To tell him their own stories. Stories of denied claims. Of fighting the system. Of feeling abandoned. Marcus listens to each one. Because he understands. He's lived it. Judge Caprio gathers his papers. He's exhausted. Emotionally drained. These cases take something from him. But they're important. Maybe the most important work he does. 8 weeks pass. The Providence Municipal Courthouse is busy today. Cases cycling through. Traffic violations. Minor disputes. The usual business of justice. Then at 2 p.m., a case is called. Case 2026, CV 82634. Follow-up hearing. Marcus Webb enters the courtroom. He looks different. Better. There's color in his face. His eyes are clearer. His hands aren't shaking. He's wearing the same simple clothes, but he holds himself differently. With dignity. With confidence. Behind him walks Trevor Hastings. He looks different too. His Tom Ford suit is gone. He wears khakis and a plain polo shirt. No watch. No expensive shoes. Just clean, simple clothes. His face shows lines that weren't there before. Stress. Exhaustion. Maybe growth. Judge Caprio looks up. Gentlemen, good to see you. Mr. Hastings, I have your progress report from Dr. Moreno. She says you've completed all your scheduled community service hours. That you've been punctual, respectful, and willing to do whatever was asked. Is that accurate? Yes, Your Honor. She also notes something interesting. She says you broke down crying last week while helping a young veteran with severe PTSD. Tell me about that. Hastings takes a breath. His name is Carlos. He's 24. 2 tours in Syria. He has nightmares so bad he can't sleep. I was helping him to a therapy appointment. He thanked me. He said it meant a lot that someone cared. And it hit me. Really hit me. How many veterans like him I'd turn away? How many Carloses I'd denied? People who just needed someone to care. I couldn't hold it together. I had to go outside and just break down. And what did you learn from that? That I'd become everything I hated. When I was a young officer, I cared about my soldiers. Really cared. But somewhere along the way, I got bitter. Angry. I started seeing requests for help as weakness. As inconvenience. I forgot that caring for soldiers doesn't end when they take off the uniform. If anything, that's when it matters most. Judge Caprio nods. I also have your written apologies. I read every one. They were honest. Painful. Vulnerable. That couldn't have been easy. It wasn't. But it was necessary. And your first speaking engagement. At Fort Bragg. I watched the video. You told your story with remarkable honesty. The soldiers responded well. Some came up to you afterward, shared their own struggles. How did that feel? Hastings's voice shakes slightly. Humbling, terrifying, but also healing. One young sergeant told me he'd been afraid to seek help for his anxiety. But hearing my story made him realize that asking for help isn't weakness. It's courage. If my mistakes can help someone else avoid them, maybe there's purpose in all this. Judge Caprio turns to Marcus. Mr. Webb, how are you doing? Marcus smiles. It's genuine. Better, Your Honor. My benefits were approved. I started therapy 3 times a week. I'm on medication that's helping. The nightmares are less frequent. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night now. That might not sound like much, but it's a huge improvement. And I got a new job. Better pay. Better hours. I can take Emma to school now. We're rebuilding. That's wonderful. And how do you feel about Mr. Hastings now? Marcus looks at Hastings. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him. The pain he caused doesn't just disappear. But I see him trying. Really trying. Dr. Moreno told me he asked if he could do extra hours. He wanted to do more. That means something. It doesn't erase what happened, but it's a start. Judge Caprio leans back. Mr. Hastings, you have 7 more months of service. 7 more speaking engagements. Months more of therapy. This isn't over, but I want to acknowledge your progress. You're doing the work. The hard work. The work of becoming a better person. That takes courage. Different from combat courage, but courage nonetheless. Keep going. I will, Your Honor. I promise. Good, because people are watching. Other veterans. Other judges. Other people in positions of power who've forgotten what service means. You're showing them it's never too late to change. To do better. Hastings nods. He looks at Marcus. Can I say something? Marcus nods. I've thought a lot about what you said. About taking away your hope. I want you to know that I see you now. Really see you. Not as a case number. Not as a claim. As a person. A father. A veteran who gave everything. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to give back what I took. Not just from you. From all of them. Every veteran I failed. I can't bring them back. Can't undo the harm. But I can make sure it never happens again. Marcus's eyes well up. That's all I ever wanted. For it to matter. For the system to change. It will. It already is. The VA Inspector General released new guidelines. Mandatory minimum review times. Independent oversight. Veteran advocates in the review process. Your case did that. Your courage changed things. The 2 men look at each other. Not friends. Maybe never friends. But no longer enemies. Something like understanding passes between them. Judge Caprio clears his throat. Gentlemen, I'm proud of both of you. Mr. Webb for having the strength to fight. Mr. Hastings for having the humility to change. You've shown us that justice isn't just about punishment. It's about transformation. Growth. Becoming better than we were. He looks at his papers. I'm reducing Mr. Hastings' remaining service requirement by 50 hours. Not because he's earned it, but because I want to redirect those hours. Mr. Hastings, you will spend those 50 hours mentoring other veterans in the benefits process. Helping them navigate the system. Making sure what happened to Mr. Webb never happens again. Can you do that? Yes, Your Honor. I'd be honored. Good. Then we're adjourned. Gentlemen, I hope I never see you in my courtroom again. Not because I don't like you, but because you shouldn't need to be here. Mr. Webb, go live your life. Be the father Emma deserves. Mr. Hastings, go make amends. Help others. Become the leader you should have been all along. Both men nod. They stand. They shake hands. It's awkward. Uncertain. But it's real. As they leave the courtroom, the gallery watches in silence. Then slowly people begin to clap. It starts small. 1 person. Then 2. Then the whole room is applauding. Not for the drama. Not for the punishment. But for the possibility. The possibility of change. Of redemption. Of justice that heals instead of just hurts. 6 months later, something appears in the Providence Journal. A small article on page 4. Not front page news, but important nonetheless. The headline reads, Local Veteran Advocate Program reaches 500 success stories. The article describes a new program at the Providence VA Hospital. Started by a retired general and a combat veteran. The program helps veterans navigate the benefits system. Provides free legal assistance. connects them with therapists, helps with job placement, housing, education. The program is called Hope Renewed. It was founded by Trevor Hastings and Marcus Webb. The article includes a quote from Marcus. "We started this because we both know what it's like to feel forgotten, to feel like the system doesn't care. We want every veteran to know they matter, that their service meant something, that we'll fight for them." There's a quote from Hastings, too. "I spent 30 years in uniform, but I didn't really understand service until I met Marcus. He taught me that serving doesn't end with retirement. It doesn't end with rank. It's a lifelong commitment to taking care of each other. This program is my way of honoring that commitment. Better late than never." The article notes that Hope Renewed has helped 500 veterans get approved benefits, connected 200 with mental health services, helped 150 find employment, prevented 12 suicides through intervention and support. The program has expanded to 3 other states, plans to go national next year. At the bottom of the article is a photo. Marcus and Trevor standing outside the VA hospital. They're not smiling exactly, but there's something in their faces. Peace maybe, purpose. Behind them is a banner. It reads, "Hope Renewed, because service never ends." In his chambers, Judge Frank Caprio reads the article. He cuts it out carefully, adds it to a folder he keeps. "Cases that mattered," the folder says. He's collected dozens of articles over the years. Stories of people who changed, who learned, who grew. These stories remind him why he does this job, why he sits in that courtroom day after day, listening to people's worst moments, trying to guide them towards something better. He pulls out the original case file. Case 2026, CV 82634. He opens it, reads his notes from that day. He remembers the anger, the frustration, the moment Hastings said those terrible words. These people sign up knowing the risks. He remembers Marcus's face, the pain, the courage it took to keep fighting. He remembers thinking that this case would break them both, that Hastings would never change, that Marcus would never heal. He was wrong, and he's never been happier to be wrong. Judge Caprio picks up his pen, writes a note in the margin of the file. Proof that accountability and compassion can coexist. Proof that justice can heal. Proof that it's never too late to remember what service really means. He closes the file, returns it to the cabinet. Another case awaits. Another person in need of justice. Another opportunity to make a difference. He stands, straightens his robe, walks back to the courtroom, because that's what service means. Showing up, day after day, trying to make things right, holding people accountable while believing they can be better. It's exhausting work. It's important work. It's the work that matters most. The legacy, the real legacy of this case, isn't in the headlines, isn't in the viral videos or the social media debates. It's in the lives that were changed. In the Providence VA Hospital, a new wing opens. The Santos Family PTSD Treatment Center, named after Miguel Santos, the Marine who lost his legs and then his life. Funded partially by donations, partially by grants, and partially by an anonymous donor who gives $20,000 a year. That donor is Trevor Hastings. He'll never say so publicly, but everyone knows. At Fort Bragg, a new mandatory training begins. For all officers above the rank of major. It's called Servant Leadership. It teaches that rank is responsibility, not privilege. That taking care of soldiers doesn't end at discharge. That the measure of a leader isn't in the medals they earn, but in the lives they improve. The training curriculum was written by Trevor Hastings, based on his mistakes, based on what he learned. In courtrooms across the country, judges reference this case. They use it to explain why compassion matters, why accountability matters, why the powerful must be held to a higher standard, not a lower one. Law schools add it to their curricula. Ethics classes discuss it. It becomes a touchstone, a reminder. In Marcus Webb's home, Emma draws another picture. It's her daddy, but this time he's smiling. This time the dark clouds she used to draw around him are gone. This time it's just her dad, standing tall, happy. She shows it to him proudly. "That's you now, Daddy. Not sad anymore." Marcus hangs the picture on the refrigerator, right next to his Purple Heart, his Bronze Star, his discharge papers, reminders of who he was, who he is, who he's becoming. He makes breakfast, takes Emma to school, goes to work. The nightmares still come sometimes. The anxiety still flares. But he has tools now. Support, hope, and that makes all the difference. Because here's what this case really teaches us. It teaches us that power without compassion is cruelty. That rank without responsibility is meaningless. That serving your country means taking care of those who serve alongside you. It teaches us that everyone deserves a second chance, even people who've done terrible things, as long as they're willing to do the work. The hard, painful work of becoming better. It teaches us that justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes it's about transformation, about taking broken situations and broken people and helping them heal. It teaches us that speaking up matters, that fighting back matters, that one person's courage can change systems, can save lives, can make the world a little bit better. And it teaches us that our choices matter. Every decision we make, every person we help or hurt, every moment we choose compassion or cruelty, it all matters. Trevor Hastings learned that the hard way. He spent 30 years climbing ranks, building a reputation, earning respect, and then he threw it all away by forgetting the most basic lesson. People matter. Every single one. He got a second chance to remember, to make amends, to serve the way he should have served all along. Not everyone gets that chance, but everyone deserves the opportunity to try. Marcus Webb learned something too. He learned that his voice matters. That's standing up to injustice, even when you're scared, even when you're tired, even when you feel powerless, that standing up can change everything. He learned that healing isn't linear, that some days are harder than others. That PTSD doesn't just disappear, but that with help, with support, with people who care, you can learn to live with it. You can build a life worth living. And Judge Frank Caprio, he learned that his work matters. That every case, every hearing, every decision ripples outward in ways he might never see. That justice isn't just about following the law. It's about seeing the humanity in everyone who walks through his courtroom doors. Money can buy many things. It can buy Tom Ford suits and Patek Philippe watches. It can buy influence and comfort and temporary power. But it cannot buy back the veterans whose claims were denied. It cannot undo the pain of families who lost someone to suicide. It cannot erase the damage done by carelessness and cruelty. It cannot buy integrity, cannot purchase compassion, cannot acquire the respect that comes from truly serving others. And in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, it definitely cannot buy justice. Justice is earned by doing the hard thing, the right thing, even when it costs you, even when it hurts, even when it means admitting you were wrong. Trevor Hastings is learning that lesson. One day at a time, 1 hour of service at a time, one veteran helped at a time. Marcus Webb already knew it. He learned it in the sands of Afghanistan, in the moments between explosions, in the split-second decisions that saved lives. He learned that service means sacrifice, that caring for others matters more than protecting yourself. And now they're teaching it together. To other veterans, to other people in power, to anyone willing to listen. Because this story isn't just about one courtroom, one case, one judge's verdict. It's about all of us, about the choices we make every day, about whether we'll choose compassion or cruelty, service or selfishness, justice or indifference. It's about remembering that behind every number, every file, every case, there's a person, a life, a story that matters. Trevor Hastings forgot that. He remembered just in time, and that makes all the difference.